Hello, I'm back. Got a question for you. Are you an addict? It's a rhetorical question because obviously, if I were to ask you this physically in person or directly to you, it would be rude. However, are you an addict? Why or why not? Because did you know that whatever you don't have a say in, or whatever you don't think you have a say in, that you would maybe like to have a say in, or are adamantly avoiding having a say in, that is what you are an addict of. Because the prefix of the word addict, means not, and dict means to say. What are you not saying over your life? How are you not dictating your life? Because whether or not you are vehemently attaching to something or running from something denotes the same addiction. And have you ever met someone who claims that they don't have any vices? It's cute, right? I think it's utterly adorable, unless they're hurting themselves in their ignorance. Most of the time, people who say that they don't have vices either know that they're flat out lying and wish that they weren't, or they truly don't know what they don't know about their own behavior, which is actually miserable and scary in a way if you think about it. It's very concerning, I should say. Not scary, but I am concerned for these particular people. Not the liars, because at least they have the knowledge, and not the delusional people who don't believe what they say when they say that they don't have a vice. Those people are fine because they know. It's the people who don't. Um, and sadly, I know people personally like this. And it makes no difference or sense to attempt to point out a possibility that can allow them to explore this shadow aspect of themselves so that they can transcend above it. Because they have to transcend above it themselves. They have to have the final say. So, what does this look like, for example, in practical reality? It can be something as simple as I had a rough day and I need some potato chips. Such a thing would seem so harmless. And in the grand scheme of things, it is obviously not immediately as dangerous as, say, grabbing the bottle of whiskey after a long day and just hammering it. Um, However, the spirit underlying all vices and all things on the outside of you that you run towards or against is the spirit of addiction, because you are agreeing to not have a say in your destiny, in your behavior, in your circumstances, in your story, and in your life, and in yourself, all at the same time, just by grabbing a bag of chips, by being helpless about it. And do you know someone, or are you that someone who says, I know I can stop at any time? Or, well, I don't have to do this. I'm just doing it because insert reason here. You are probably in the worst phase of addiction, um, or the worst kind of addict. If you are perpetually saying that, it doesn't get any worse, it doesn't get any better, but you're in this gray area where you say that this is a thing that doesn't need to be, and you know this in your head. You know, but you don't know it in your heart, and you're not acting like it with your body and with your actions. So here we have an irony, or a paradox, or hypocrisy. And that is the worst place to be in, because hypocrisy is the substance of these spirits of addiction, such as addiction. You're saying that you know something, yet your actions say that you don't have a say in what you say. Oops. And I don't mean to be so brash about it, because you can't help it. Literally, you can't help it. Because if you were able to help it, you would be able to have a say in it every single time. And so it begets sympathy. If you are someone like me who does know that they have the final say and exercises that will to have a say in as many instances of their daily life as possible, until it is no longer a struggle, until it is no longer a form of suffering, but a form of pleasure and a regenerative source of power. If you are someone like me who knows that, then you look upon others as if they are helpless pets. I'll do a whole other video about the concept of treating others as if your relationship to them is akin to the relationship with dear pets. And yes, it denotes that people are behaving as animals. It also denotes that the animalistic nature that is passively manifesting in this person who is not exercising control over it is okay. And it is something that can be nurtured until the person awakens to the point where they are masters over their animal nature, and this masterhood is expressed in their actions and in their words on a daily basis, multiple times a day. It requires a necessary rebirth to your complete human godhood nature. Otherwise, you continue to sleep in the animal kingdom. You continue to act as animalia, even if it is only for chips, quote unquote, which it is not. Once you have the spirit of addiction, the spirit of helplessness, the spirit of not being able to help, that you have a say, and not being able to help yourself, understand that you do not have a say. It's like the paradoxical agreeing unconsciously to the fact that you do not have a say. You are saying that you don't have a say without saying it. And once this spirit is operating in you on a daily basis in one form or another, no matter how big or small, it will manifest in other ways, not just chocolate, not just chips, not just wine, not just reality TV shows, not just the one thing that you feel the need to run to escape from the biggest thing in your life that is giving you stress. It also manifests in ways where you are not as stressed. And so you may not be able to recognize those times because you don't feel as stressed and you don't thus feel as fearful of your source of addiction or as compelled to engage in your source of addiction. And yet it is ruling your life because you have already made the commitment to not committing, to not having the final word. So when there are opportunities in your life, and there are many, many, many opportunities, hundreds. If you stay in your house and you do nothing, there are hundreds of opportunities, dozens at least. If you don't do a darn thing, you just sit in your house all day. All of these opportunities to exercise your will and direct your will towards power, towards pleasure, towards peace. Because if you do not, then those things will not come to you in a way that you recognize, acknowledge, or can use for your benefit. These opportunities for peace will come and pass you. And because you won't be able to recognize them, because you're not exercising your power to have the final say in what you do in every situation of your life, every single day, then this generates a loss. If you've ever checked out manifestation content creators and law of attraction content creators who talk about the lack mentality comes from the fundamental subconscious feeling of a lack of dictation. In other words, if you can't spell out what you want, if you can't cast your own spells, then something else, someone else, some other circumstance, the environment, work, negative emotions, something will spell it out for you. And it'll come in a way that is repellent to your will because it's not coming from your own will intentionally. So I think of this situation and people in the situation as street puppies. They are so helpless. And they are helpless because they're telling you that they're helpless. Their life tells you that they are helpless. So something else has to come and help. Something that is outside of them has to come and help. Chips have to come and help. Oh, but they will affect your health, but they help. Alcohol, las drogas, they all come as aids, which are simultaneously poisonous because they're not coming from your own life force. If you operate out of your own and project your own life force, then there's nothing but love. And that is what gets reflected. When you speak love into your life, how do you know that you're speaking love? Because you are having the final word. No matter how difficult it seems, you agree consciously to know that by doing what the heck you want and saying what the heck you want, wearing what you want, being who you want, in doing so, you must have the necessary confidence that comes from doing these things repeatedly every day with the many opportunities. It comes with the confidence that you know the love will get reflected back to you if you do it. How do you know that um, these things are a reflection of love? Because you took on this role of power. Well, how is your health? How is your life? Do you love it or do you not? It's very simple. If you love what you're getting out of life, if you love something that has occurred, and especially if you can track um, what has occurred because of your own mindset and your own actions, when you get that response, you know you're on the right track. Also, though, there's a caveat. And I love this caveat. So that should say something to you right there. The caveat about speaking love into your life and getting it in return is that you can also receive its direct opposite, hate. People start hating on you. You get something that wants to bite you, a spider, a mosquito, things that are utterly repulsive, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That can come into your life on a daily basis. And I think that is a bigger thing, that fear of receiving this kind of feedback is the other side of addiction where you do not want to be. The positive side of addiction, of being helpless to these comforts and these pleasures, it's not as powerful because it can be more useful than not, but it's subtle because you're still getting a direct benefit out of something, right? So it couldn't be too bad. You're getting a benefit. And but due to this repeating cycle on this so-called positive side of addiction, you are not learning as much. The other side is a smack in the face that sometimes you're not going to deserve. Because just as much as you have a final say and you can dictate your life so as not to be an addict, other people and other things have the same power. It's the same power. It might not be to the same extent unless you let it. So it's just like people having freedom of speech, and you exercise your right to freedom of speech. And then someone goes, you know what? You're a witch. Or they don't love you anymore. That is common when you step out of addiction. Because when you are in addiction mode, which you come in and out of on a daily basis all the time, if you're not recognizing this essence, people want to just help you. And the joke becomes on you because you end up hating the kind of help that you get. Because now your health is suffering, so that's a form of hate. You become angry and you want to lash out, act out, and indulge even more. That's a form of hate. And it all comes into the self as self hate. It's a shame. But this is what happens when you're simply addicted and people want to help you out of what they see as an addiction that you might not even be able to see. Gross. It's really gross when this happens because on the other side, those external things that are telling you about yourself, since you don't have the say, then something does. Something will tell you for you. And if you don't like what's being said, it's probably because it is not coming from you. And if you're not able to see the reflection of that, how can you love it? This is why I love the fact that hatred can arise, even if I don't like it in the moment. I still have a say over what I do about my dislike. It can talk to me, but it's not going to tell me something about me because I already love myself. I don't self hate by not having a say in my life. It's not an easy statement to make, of course, because it requires what they call punching up, but punching up out of the animalistic, reactive nature. The it's like people putting words in your mouth. Well, you didn't say that, but if you can't tell people what you're trying to say, then people will put words in your mouth, whether to your face or behind your back. So, are you an addict? What are you addicted to? And what are you running from? You're running from hate, you'll end up hating yourself. If you're running from fear, you'll end up fearing yourself. That was my addiction. I thought I was addicted to peace. And what that really means is the attachment to a sense of control and an aversion to loss of control and loss of power. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because someone told me the prophecy. Someone will tell you what is going to happen to you, because if you're not foretelling your own behavior based on the fact that you're not knowing yourself, and you're not knowing yourself because you're not having a say over yourself, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy because someone has to fill that for you. Something has to fill it for you. Ouch. Are you an addict? Get a journal and start writing your story in which you have the final word. Use your words. That's all.